Hello everyone. It's fall. Time for spooky sewing.
This is Halloween, this is Halloween.
Who am I kidding? It's always time for spooky sewing. Hi, I'm Carrie, and welcome to year 2 of me making a Halloween dress the week before Halloween. Nothing like indecision and procrastination to make things more exciting, right? This year, I waited until October 15th to decide, why yes, I would like to participate in the Gunnesaxoween trend on Instagram and YouTube, 2 weeks before Halloween. And then wait until the Sunday before Halloween to start sewing because I could not decide which Gunne Sax dress to recreate in spooky style. I guess I had to make it scary for myself because 'tis the season. Gunne Sax, by the way, might be pronounced Gunne Sax, but I think Gunne Sax is a lot cuter. And I actually call it Gunne Sax in my head and laugh to myself imagining the Goonies trying to play saxophones or trying to escape saxophone players. Gunne Sax dresses were popular in the 1970s and 80s, evocative of a romantic, simpler past with allusions to medieval, Renaissance, Victorian, and Edwardian style elements, usually with one or more tiny floral prints in flowing fabric. They are seeing a resurgence in our current crazed for cottagecore culture, going for hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars a dress on eBay, Etsy, and Facebook Marketplace. The dresses are pretty and super cute, but I don't have that kind of budget, so I've been playing around with making my own sort of Gunne Sax dresses in cheap or leftover fabric. And then I made the mistake of browsing Joann's online store and came across this ridiculous nonsense. I could not stop laughing at the name, Tossed Cat Heads. I guess the pumpkins and owls are inconsequential, although they are essential to the Halloween ecosystem. And with a coupon, it was less than $4 a yard. Yeah. And I found a black and orange polka dot fabric to go with it. Same price, so after months of not buying fabric, on October 15th, I caved so I could make a cute Halloween recreation of a Gunne Sax dress. I bought 6 yards of each because I had no idea how much I would use or what this thing would even look like. Great planning, huh? After scrolling through countless Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest posts, I searched on eBay and found this cutie with polka dot accents, and it hit me like a rock fact.
It's a rock fact!
This is the dress I would recreate in spooky season fashion. Sorry for the horrible eBay photos, but I like those loose sleeves, mock corset bodice front with little flappy things at the bottom, so Ren Fair, midi length skirt, and simple lace trim. Also, the two fabrics don't exactly match in color, just like mine, which is exactly what happens when you buy online instead of looking at the fabrics in person in a store. But how to make this in my silly fabric? There are Gunne Sax patterns, mostly by simplicity, but they are vintage, often already cut into a size different from my own, and also expensive on the aforementioned sites. So to make things more difficult for myself, I decided to make my own pattern by modifying and cobbling together elements of modern patterns you can easily acquire today. Puzzling through this took me another week. To make the bodice, I decided on View A from Simplicity 3723 as a base. Joann's only had the larger size packet, so I marked adjustments on size 14 so the thing would fit my actual waist, bust, shoulder width, and shoulder to waistline measurements, and then traced out an adjusted pattern before making a mock-up. And
'Cause for the first time in forever,
it actually fit. I thought I might need horizontal bust darts, but eventually decided against them. There are none in the original anyway. After making the lining in leftover purple cotton, I traced out a higher waistline and a new neckline, cut them on the lining, and then went back to my trace pattern and made the adjustments there too for future reference. Then it was time to puzzle out the accent fabric. Should it be trim I sew on after making the bodice out of the cat head fabric, like a facing, or actual pattern pieces? The polka dot fabric is super thick and has a stiff hand, while the cat head fabric is super soft and flowy. So I was worried the stiffer fabric would be too stiff if I layered it like trim, and therefore I decided on separate pattern pieces. I was unsure about accent fabric at the arm side like in the original, so I left that out, and here is what I came up with. Then I changed my mind and decided I wanted a vertical stripe of polka dots at the bodice center front. I was all set to cut fabric, but then I had to spend a day with my son's marching band, including 6 hours on a bus as a chaperone. And I spent a lot of this time thinking about the dress and writing out the steps to accomplish what I thought I wanted. And of course, in wishy-washy Pisces fashion, try saying that 10 times fast, I changed my mind about the pattern and design. Again. I really wanted to get as close as possible to that cute little dress on eBay. The great thing about using tracing paper is that I can layer it up and still see what I did before and trace it out again. So here's my pattern version 87. My intention was to just sew the pieces right sides together. Emma really likes this fabric. Maybe because she has a very similar colorway. Anyway, she was great comfort during the hours, and yes, I mean hours, that I tried to sew the two fabrics together in bodice form. Viewer, it did not work. I tried basting and got weird bunching, so I tried hand sewing and got different weird bunching, and then I cut the seam allowances to 1/4 inch and basted and still got awkward bunching, and was about to give up completely when I decided to turn under the seam allowance on the polka dot bodice top and top stitch them to the cat head pieces, which sounds weird, but I got less bizarre wrinkling, so success? I don't know if it was my pattern pieces or the different hand of the two fabrics, but careful pressing seems to have helped, and I'm okay with how it looks now. After sewing the bodice to the lining at the neckline, right sides together, I trimmed the seam allowance, turned it right sides out, and top stitched along the neckline to keep the lining from rolling and becoming visible. Which, you know, you can't really see in this blurry video of black thread on black fabric. Then it was time for the sleeves. I used the same sleeve pattern I did for my butterfly witch dress, McCall's 8329 View A. And I enjoy these sleeves because they are not fitted. I hand stitched the inside of the cuffs to secure them, and voila, spooky sleeves. I did not get quite the angle I wanted on these little doublet flappy bits at the bodice bottom front, but I can fold them to how I like them and just stitch them down again when I sew on the trim, which I also hand stitched the white trim, this little white lace trim I got on Amazon a while back, to the bodice, which probably wasn't necessary, but I like the control of hand stitching. My placement is slightly different than in the cute eBay Gunne Sax, but hand stitches are easier to take out if I change my mind later. I chose the skirt pattern from McCall's 7086 for this dress and just shortened it to 21 inches in length to make it midi length after using the full length pattern for my butterfly dress last month. See, that dress was really good practice. Once again, I added pockets for things like rocks, my phone, my wand, and other witchy necessities. I line up the pocket halves as I pin them to the skirt panels to make sure they are in the right spots, about 5.5 inches below the waist seam. Sew them to the skirt panels, and then I sew the skirt seams and just go around the pocket flaps when I'm doing so. Some Gunne Sax dresses have pockets, but even if they didn't, I find them to be essential. I could not figure out how to sew on the doublet flappy bits and the skirt to the bodice at the same time. So I just did them separately, both top stitched along the same line, because that is apparently how this dress is gonna go. I was going to use an invisible zipper on the back of this dress, but I'm sick of invisible zippers, yes, after sewing only 2 of them, so I got a regular visible zipper, which is what most of these dresses seem to have anyway, and I mostly followed the instructions in the zipper package. I thought I knew better during one step and then had to unpick a lot of stitching. Other than that, this zipper adventure went much more smoothly. Almost there, almost there. I could stop now and still have a short but wearable garment. Time for ruffled skirt tiers. The next tier is about 1.75 times the circumference of the skirt bottom. It's 4 inches wide and consists of 4 lengths of the 45-inch wide polka dot fabric seamed and pressed at the selvages and serged on the long sides. I just ran 1 line of gathering stitches instead of my usual 2 because I was running out of time. And this is why I take so long to get the gathering somewhat evenly distributed. I pin it at the front, the back, and the sides. And then I use the halving method to pin the heck out of the rest of it. Like hundreds of pins. An excessive number of pins. But it is sewed on now. And the stiffness of this polka dot fabric makes it flare a little bit more than I would like, which is why I did not use a 2-to-1 ruffle ratio. I did not use so many pins on the last skirt tier / ruffle, and it went much faster, even though I used more fabric. This bottom tier consists of 6 lengths of the 45-inch wide cathead fabric, cut to 9 inches wide, this way, and hemmed before ruffling. I know you are supposed to let the skirt hang for a bit and then hem it, but time was of the essence. You can bet I used my machine to sew on this white lace trim between the bottom tiers. I pretty much rammed it through. The last step was to use narrow white ribbon to lace the bodice front, and my Gunnesaxoween dress is ready for trick-or-treating, Halloween parties, and the reveal. Stinkerbell thought she was getting her own photo shoot. She was welcome to join me, but turned her nose up at sharing the spotlight, I guess. You guys, I love this silly thing. Even though it vaguely resembles a spooky cowgirl square dance dress, I think it is so cute. And the skirt circumference allows me to walk, run, dance, even do high kicks. Although I should make sure to wear shorts underneath if I plan to do a lot of that. The bodice extension thingies might need to be more flared because if I do a kick a lot, they ride up a bit, but that could again be due to the stiff polka dot fabric. I have on earrings, but my wig covers them, so I might have to resort to larger ones. I'm a good witch, I swear. The pockets are somewhat camouflaged among all the cat and owl heads and pumpkins, but they are in the perfect spots and are large enough for my phone and whatever else I need. Time for Halloween candy. It smells so good. Aromatherapy. Why do I always have to do this whenever I have a bucket with something in it? Candy for you. And you, and you. Candy for everyone. No candy was wasted in the making of this video. I made the skirt long enough and the neckline high enough to avoid flashing anyone while picking up candy. Yay! My dress matches Emma. It is cat approved. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and comment below. I'd love to know what you are working on. Have you made a Gunne Sax dress? Any spooky projects this October? Have a great Halloween and enjoy fall while it lasts. Bye. Don't catch your dress on fire. Don't catch your dress on fire. All right, now how do I snuff out the candles? Okay, that worked.